Okay, we're live. Hi, everyone. We are Sunflowers and Red Feathers. I'm Christina.
And I'm Stephanie. We are two moms living in the before and after of child loss.
Join us in this journey as we share our stories of not only loss, but how life after loss can still be full of beauty, love, hope, and joy.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on when we post a new video.
Bye. Bye.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Sunflowers and Red Feathers. I am Stephanie.
Hi, and I'm Christina. This episode, we have two special guests with us. They are Sarah and Natalie from Marigold Moms. They're two sisters who both have lost daughters in the last few years, and they bonded in that grief and are on this grief journey together now. And they actually started a lost community, is what they call it, a lost mom community. And we found them on Instagram because they are you okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, we had a child wander in. I thought my 3-year-old was asleep, but she chose that exact moment to come on in.
Oh, okay.
You know what?
That's
Real
okay.
Life. We totally got it.
Yep. We've had guest appearances from our children as well. So what is your 3-year-old's name?
Rosemary.
Rosemary. Okay, that's what I thought. Well, to start off, would you guys like to just introduce yourselves to our followers and tell us a little bit about your daughters?
Sure. So my name's Sarah, and Natalie and I are sisters. And my oldest daughter, Alice, was born August 2016. And then January 2017, she passed away in her sleep. She was almost 5 months old. And then my husband and I decided to get pregnant again really quickly. And we had Rosemary in 2017. So she has been really wonderful. And I think we're going to talk more about pregnancy after loss and having another baby after loss, but it's been a big journey. And I also love singing and decorating cakes and being with my family. So that's me. I'm Natalie. I am older than Sarah, in case you wonder. We are not twins. And people always think she's older because she's a lot taller than me. But we're 4 years apart. And so I had my first daughter, Margot, in February of 2015. And shortly after she was born, she was diagnosed with Trisomy 18. And should I get into like what that is right now?
Yeah, please. I actually was going to look it up because I don't know.
Okay. So Trisomy 18 is a genetic condition, and it's very similar to Down syndrome. So with Down syndrome, you have 3 of the 21st chromosome, and Trisomy 18 is like that, and it's a duplication of a chromosome, but it's a different chromosome. So it's the 18th chromosome. So tri meaning 3, and then 18, the 18th chromosome. So it does affect. It affects the babies differently. It's not always exactly the same, like manifesting, but it does have a higher fatality rate than Down syndrome. And most babies either don't make it to birth, don't survive labor, or they don't survive the first year of life. So it was a really, really scary diagnosis, and we didn't know what to expect. But she lived for 1 week after she was born, and then she passed away at our home in our nursery on hospice care. So that was February of 2015, so about 6 years ago now. And then we had our second daughter after that. She was born the next May, so a little over a year later. And then I also have a little boy, and he was also born in May, 3 years later. So I have the 3 kids and 1 in heaven.
Wow. That is quite the story. So I think you said you didn't know until after she was born that she had this condition?
Yeah, that's right. It's not very common for it to go unnoticed during pregnancy. A lot of people will notice it in the anatomy scan that they do at 20 weeks, and for some reason, we just our doctor just didn't see, and all of the whatever steps that these things go through when they check your baby and they make sure that everything's okay. It just was missed every single time. So it was a huge shock when she was born, and we realized that she was severely underweight. And so she was full term, but she was 4 pounds. And
oh my goodness.
it was a huge surprise. And it was really interesting, because I always assume that, like, when you get a diagnosis like this, something that's really life-changing, that it's always, handled really delicately and things like that. And that's not really how it happened. And I think about that a lot. And I always hope that other people will have a better experience than I had, because I remember my husband and I were in the room, and we knew that something was wrong, because I'd had to have an emergency C-section, and had taken her away right after birth, and I had not even seen her yet. And her pediatrician came in and just basically said, well, I have some concerns. I think she might have trisomy 18. She's showing a lot of signs of that. So I'm going to go do some more research. I'll talk to you guys later. And he just kind of took off. And we were just left to Google search trisomy 18 and try to figure out what that even was, and sort through it from there. So it was, from the very beginning, it was just a very, very confusing and like very sudden journey of wrapping our heads around what was happening.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you both have sweet little angels watching over you, and that has bonded you guys together. What made you start Marigold Moms? What inspired you to do that? And tell us more about the Marigold.
So obviously we kind of had built-in support systems. Like Natalie said, Margot was born in 2015, and then my daughter wasn't born until August 2016. So Margot passed away before Alice was even born. And so I was so lucky, and also tremendously unlucky, I guess, to have somebody so close to me who had lost a child to kind of hold my hand and say, like, here are things you want to do. Here are some things that you might, like, I had no clue how anything worked. And she was like, I found a burial plot for Alice very close to Margot, and I can just buy that for you guys. And like stuff that I wouldn't have any idea how to navigate. And we thought about that a lot, how I mean, obviously it wasn't easy, but it was a lot more smooth of a transition, I feel like, because you were like, I've been through this. I know what we should do. I know what things I wish I had done. Let me help you navigate this. And so many people don't have that. A lot of people don't know anybody, and certainly not somebody so close to them. And so that's what we're hoping to create for other people, is a community and a resource of women for other women, to kind of show them the way and help them not feel alone, and help them navigate the path with more ease, I guess, as much ease as you can have in such a traumatic time. So that was kind of our inspiration for creating it. Do you want to tell them about Marigold? Well, I was just going to say that another thing we noticed after we went through this was that there were many women that we already knew, that we already felt close with, that didn't tell us until after we went through our losses that they had also gone through a loss. And it was really surprising, just that it was something that they felt like they couldn't talk about, or felt like they kind of needed to keep a secret, or people wouldn't want to know. And, and if people want to keep a loss private, that's totally fine. But I felt like, okay, we need to really help women feel like it's okay to talk about, and it's not something to be ashamed of, and that it's not that uncommon as it seems, because if people aren't talking about it, then you think it doesn't happen as much. And so we just, after we both went through it, we felt like this is so much more common than we ever would have known if we didn't go through it. And if we can just connect these women, then that in itself can be a really powerful thing. So that's another reason why we felt like we need to bring lost moms together.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, so true. I've had similar experiences where all these people come out of the woodwork, and they're, whether it's, their own child or people that they know that have lost children, and they can connect you with just tons and tons of people. It's amazing to have that resource. And you're so right. It's such a taboo subject to bring up. Any kind of death really in our society is like, oh, nobody wants to talk about that. It's going to make them sad. So just don't bring it up. And then child loss is like on a whole other plane. Like you just don't want to bring up their person's child because it's going to make them cry. And we're like, no, please say their name, share memories, like talk about them. It's so different than what anybody thinks. And you're so right. We just need to tell other moms that it's okay. And we're all going through it, and it's okay to talk about it. I love that. Oh yeah, did you want to share about the Marigold?
Sure. So we spent a lot of time brainstorming. Kind of got into a rut of trying to figure out what should we name this group.
We went down a black hole.
We really did. And we wanted it to be something reflective of loss and healing and all those kinds of things, but we didn't want it to be like so sad just by the title. Yeah. And so we joked, we're like, let's call it the Sad Moms Group. Yeah. Just like as a joke, not for real.
We still could have that as a secondary title.
Yes. Marigold Moms, the Sad Mom Group.
Yeah.
But we wanted to make it meaningful, and we spent a lot of time exploring different things, different symbolism and that kind of thing. And we landed on the marigold because it is symbolic of grieving the loss of a loved one. And also we've read in many places it symbolizes the warmth of the rising sun. And we wanted it to be both that invitation to grieve and to remember the loss of your child, and also to welcome the warmth and healing and hope of the future and the sun. So I don't know if you guys have seen Coco, but the flowers that are like everywhere in Coco, they're marigolds, because it's all symbolic of the afterlife and death and loss. And
okay,
the marigold petals form that bridge. From
our world to their world.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
that's actually really cool. I like that.
Yeah, we thought it was it just felt right when we talked about it, and I think it's really special. Yeah.
Well, that's what matters, right? As soon as you find something that feels right, like when Stephanie came up with the idea for our blogcast title. At first it was yellow sippy cups and red feathers, and I was like, oh, that's kind of long, but I love it. And we finally settled for sunflowers, because my son's color for Mason is yellow, obviously. And the reason that we got that was because my mom watched him. She had an in-home daycare, and when they asked like what colors to use for his memorial, I was like, he's 19 months old. Like, I don't know what his favorite color is. My mom goes, oh, it's yellow. He always picks the yellow sippy cup. And I had told Stephanie that at one time. And so, and then her thing for Joshua is red feathers, because he loved Roman knights. And so that the red plume on their helmet kind of was like his thing. So anyways, that's how we came up with sunflowers and red feathers, but not that you asked. But anyways,
I love it though, because it's another happy thing,
Yeah.
Those are happy things. And I love it.
And it felt right. It just felt right. So it took like 2 seconds. But speaking of, starting sunflowers and red feathers, I just had this moment. I can remember like the first, week or two when Stephanie and I got the idea to start a podcast. Like, we were on our phones, like messaging each other constantly, like with ideas and, hey, we should do this and, all this all day long. And after we like had made the Facebook, made the Instagram, and did all this stuff, I remember sitting down on the couch one night and just wave just hit me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to be thinking about Mason and my grief and having to deal with all of that almost on a daily basis. Like, am I ready for that? Mm-hmm. And I just wonder, like, was that just me? I don't remember if Stephanie said she felt that way, or like, have you guys had that kind of moment? Like, I'm making this reality. Like, if I create this group, I have to maintain this group. Did you guys have that moment?
Absolutely. Totally. And I think that for me, it was a little bit more of a jarring transition because Sarah was already speaking about Alice and about her loss publicly. And I hadn't really talked about it much at all online. Not that I was opposed to it, but it just hadn't really felt natural. And it was just something that I had always kind of dealt with more privately. And so I remember when Sarah and I were having the idea and talking about it, I felt a really strong drive to go through with it, to do it. And I really felt like this is right. And this is something that we can do. But I was also scared. And I just remember thinking, I don't know if I can talk about Margot every day. I don't know if I can even think about her every day, because there have been times in my life when I've just tried so hard to avoid that grief and booked myself so busy and just filled my life up to the brim so that there's no room for grief. And I think it had to be a really conscious decision to say, okay, I'm going to make room in my life for grief. And that was really scary to me, but I also felt like I wanted to. I felt like it was time to talk about it and just spend a lot of time kind of going through all those thoughts and those emotions. And I also knew that I had learned things that I hoped would help other women. And so that really was a big motivator to me, because like Sarah said, I was able to be there for her during her grief. And it's not like I felt like, oh, I'm going to be so helpful, I know exactly what to do. But I just knew that the fact that I understood and I had gone through it and I was still here and still alive and still trying to show up and still be a mother to my other kids. I knew that could help Sarah. And so just feeling like, okay, maybe one thing that I have to say will help one other mom. That was enough for me to feel like, okay, I can do this. I can at least try and see how it goes.
You hadn't disintegrated yet.
No, not yet.
That in and of itself, honestly, I was like, okay.
Right. And that's how you feel at the time. You're like, will I just die?
Will I go full Rasputin?
Yeah. Will I implode like the Witch King?
Yeah.
Who knows? I just don't know. So it's just good to have like somebody.
I guess not.
Yeah. It's good to have some human that is like, yeah, I did that. It sucked, but here I am.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No,
I didn't
really
answer for you, but sorry, Stephanie.
Oh no, it's good. Like, I think you totally hit it on the head. Like, you were there for her and you were still alive. And sometimes that's what other moms need to see. Like, I remember when I first lost Joshua, like, I felt like I was the only one going through this. And then being able to find other people that understood that pain and had gone through that heartbreak and that they were still, trucking on, that meant something to me, because it was hard to imagine going forward after losing my son. Like, so I'm glad you guys had each other for that. That's really big. And I'm kind of jealous. I'm not going to lie.
Well, you have me.
I know I have you. I had to wait like a few months for that though.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm grateful for Christina. Like, I think, definitely we have bonded because of our grief. And I don't think I was fully able to grieve until I had Christina in my life, if that makes sense. And so I feel like we've both been grieving together, and that has been so instrumental for our grief, and being able to see you two sharing your grief together is a big deal. And I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. I think it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I was going to say that obviously my daughter passed away first, but Sarah was absolutely there for me when my daughter died. And she wrote a song for my daughter that has kind of entered the lost parent space. I don't know.
I think I've heard it.
Have you?
I totally stalked you. Oh yeah, Sarah, I really did.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if you want me to like talk
Please
about
do.
it. I don't want you to feel like,
Yeah,
okay.
go for it. Please do.
Yeah, so it's called Until Heaven. And she wrote this song for Margot, and just about that feeling of just trying to cherish your baby and love every second with them, and trying to say goodbye. And honestly, I don't even know if I've told you this. I could not listen to it for like the first year.
No, I knew that.
I had listened to the first like 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, nope, no.
It's rough. Yeah, I'm there with you. I shared it with my sister who had just had a miscarriage, and I was like, maybe not right now, but when you're ready.
Yeah. And it was just so personal. Like, this is about my daughter, and it's like, but she did it. She wrote it for my baby and for me and for other lost moms and other lost parents. And she did this whole event where a vigil where parents brought their pictures of their kids that they had lost, and we lit candles, and it was just beautiful, and it was so meaningful for these parents. And everyone was just amazed at how loving she was and how she was just so supportive. And then just a short while later, suddenly she was on the other side of it. And so I just think
just got chills.
Yeah, it just felt like, okay, it was meant to be. And Sarah's just always had that love and that charity for this group of people that we're in now. And she was serving us and serving them before she was a part of it, and now she is a part of it. And I just felt like if I can hitch my wagon to her star, I'll be okay. Oh my gosh.
It's almost like Heavenly Father was preparing you for that in a way.
It was really bizarre. Literally, I was so in shock. And since Alice died unexpectedly at home, like police came and firemen and people from the medical examiner's office, and there were just like tons of people in my house. And I'm literally sitting on my couch just like spacing out. And all of a sudden I go, I wrote a song about this.
Yeah.
And then one of the cops was like, what? And I was like, I wrote a song about this for my sister. Her daughter died. This is so weird. And he was like, that is weird. And I was like, yep. I was just like, it was so odd.
I thought you were going to say there were all these men in my house, and then I realized, oh, I'm not wearing pants.
Yeah, that happened too. First thing in the morning. Who's wearing pants first thing in the morning? And then obviously you don't care when it's like an emergency situation like that. It's just not even on your radar.
But when you notice and you're like, oh, it's like a dream.
Yeah, like everything. I don't want to say everything had calmed down. It was like the beginning, but
right. People had left.
A couple people had left, and it was like a calm moment. And I was like, I have no pants on. All right. but I was going to say, I remember that you can listen to the song because I said to Mom, I was like, I don't think she's listened to it. And it had been like several months.
Yeah.
And Mom was like, give her time. The poor thing. And I was like, all right. That's fine.
I mean,
she doesn't have to listen to it.
She wasn't wrong.
And then after Alice died, somebody was like, you should listen to Until Heaven again. And I was like, no. I cannot. And so then like, I couldn't listen to it for like several months after that. And I was like, I get it now.
Yeah.
But I also feel like that whole thing, because I am very outgoing and I joke around to cope with things, and I try to say things that are helpful, and sometimes they're not helpful. And I remember trying to say things to Natalie that would be like helpful in some way, or I don't know. And I remember leaving her house many times shortly after Margot died and feeling like, well, I blew it. I said so many weird things and so many strange things to this poor lady. She's just trying to make, I never thought you were a
Poor
lady. But
No,
anyway,
I've done that too.
for
Yeah.
that, after Alice died, people would say weird stuff to me. And for some reason, it made me like immune to it, where I was just like, I remember when I was you, just doing my best.
Yeah.
And that was weird. And I'm going to just let it go.
Nobody knows what to say. Yeah, you're just like, whatever.
And I think the fact that it was so soon after was helpful too, because I was like, yeah, I didn't know what to say or do. But we're all just trying, I guess.
I have no like specific memories of like, oh, Sarah said the worst thing. Like I barely remember anything from back then. I was just like,
I understand.
what?
Yeah. I hear you. Well, moving on.
Something we should have told you. Here's something we should have told you beforehand. We talk a lot. Like, a lot.
Like if you interviewed us individually, we would be so serious and on topic and focused.
But you made a mistake interviewing us together.
No, it's perfect.
While she was answering the last question, I almost interrupted her with a new question like 5 times, and I kept telling myself, this is not my podcast. I'm not in charge of the questions here.
No.
And so if you are fine to just be like, shut up,
Ladies.
let's focus. It's time, because we could just could spin into its own thing. So I'm sorry.
No,
It's
fine.
totally cool. I don't think we've laughed this much in our podcast at all, so I love it.
Yeah, me too.
This is refreshing. I love it.
Is it okay? We laugh to cope.
Yes. And I think
Laughing, it's essential.
well, I think
I
there's
agree.
always going to be people that are going to say, I'm not ready to laugh. I don't want to laugh. And that's fine. That's, if that's not where they're at, I think we offer other things as well.
Yeah.
And, but I do think that like giving moms permission to laugh and be silly and still be happy is a whole new topic that like, I think, I don't remember for sure if we've talked about getting into that or not, but I think it's something that is important to both of us, like realizing that you are allowed to be happy and be silly and goof around after your loss. And that's
not feel guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember visiting you when Margot was alive, and you were joking about how tiny her little bum was.
It was so small.
I didn't know what to expect coming into this house, because I'm like, we have no idea how long she's going to live. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to really rein it in and be as somber as possible. And she's like making jokes. And I was like, okay, this is allowed. And I'm so glad she did that, because I think it was so wise to allow that laughter and light and joy in Margot's short life. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows how much she could comprehend when she's a tiny, tiny baby. But I thought it was really incredible. And I was like, look at this mother being so brave and wise for her tiny girl. Because she even said to my mom, I don't want her to just see people crying her whole life, and that's her whole life.
Yeah.
I want her to see people smile. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And so that's kind of the whole approach we've taken the whole time, is just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
It's so true.
Yeah. And I like to think, I don't know if I've ever said it in this way before, but I like to think that our girls bring us a lot of joy.
Yeah.
Even if it's a different kind than our other kids bring us.
Yeah.
But it's okay to laugh. And like, he really did have the tiniest bum.
I mean, she was 4 pounds.
Of course she was hysterical.
But
Well, speaking of other children, since I saw Stephanie's, or heard one of Stephanie's, her next question for you guys, which I'll go ahead and just read it. So you guys have obviously had a couple of kids since your losses, and Stephanie and I both have had children after our losses. So do you have any advice for other moms who are pregnant or considering having other kids?
I want to say something.
Please do.
Okay.
Please
So Natalie, very shortly after Alice died, approached me and was like, I know it's the last thing you want to hear and it's the last thing you want to do, but you got to have another baby. And if it had been anyone else, I would have been like, get out of here. But I was,
And just to be clear, this is not something I'm going to just say to random ladies.
yeah, this does not go for everybody.
This is because she's my sister and I know she's exactly like me.
This is not her advice for every single mom.
Right.
This is what she said to me. And even then, I wasn't like, I must do what I was like, okay, this is very good advice from somebody who I know has experience.
You're like, I'll take that under consideration.
Whose opinion I
Thank
really
you.
care about. And then, of course, my husband, he was like completely on board. He was like, yes, let's have another baby. And I feel like I didn't really think about it that much. I was like, what else am I supposed to do? This is, I don't know. I mean, Alice was our only
You're
child.
like, we have baby stuff.
We have
Yeah.
baby stuff. I was a full-time mom. We have no other babies.
Yeah.
I'll just have another baby. And it wasn't like, anyway, but what I was hoping to share was that once Rosie was born, I felt so weird. And I just was like, who are you? I had a different baby.
Oh,
Yeah, I was just like, it was very confusing. And I know that I had a lot of PTSD, attachment weirdness, and
She would always call her ma'am.
like, ma'am, can I help you?
She'd hold up her brand newborn baby and be like, ma'am, what do you need? Or like that.
But I really struggled, honestly, to open my heart up to connect with her because I was so afraid that she would just die. And I could not deal with that. And it took me like 3 or 4 months before I could finally, like, I loved her. I wasn't like, I did not love her, but I just felt a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety. And I tried to speak openly about that and be like, I'm kind of freaking out. And my advice for women who want to have other babies or are about to have other babies is to give yourself time to be open to that sort of connection, because some babies you have that instant connection and that's wonderful. That's great. And some babies you kind of have to work for it. And I think of it a lot like dating, because sometimes you meet somebody and you like have this instant spark and it's great, right? But other people you meet and like you like them, but it's not like fireworks from day one, but you like work at your relationship and you over time bond and get better, and that's fine. And nobody's like, well, that's weird.
Well, and
This
if
is how it
you've gone through like a terrible breakup or a divorce or something, dating is harder.
Yeah.
And it's like that. Like, you lost a baby.
Yeah.
So you're bonding with your new baby is going to be trickier.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm not really saying it very well, but I just want to reassure women that if you're scared that you're not going to love them the same way, that's okay. And that's normal. And
well, they're not the same baby, so it's not going to be the same. Yeah.
exactly. And you have to give yourself time to fall in love with them and have that attachment. And I just think you need to trust yourself that will happen. I mean, there's no scenario where your kid's 18 and you're like, it never happened.
I never loved
I never loved like just I think we just put a lot of pressure on ourselves as moms to be perfect. And if you are trying, then that's enough.
I think that's great. I have advice
Well
too.
said.
Is
Yes.
it okay? I don't know how long we're supposed to talk. I'm sorry.
So sorry.
No, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yes. Because
Yeah.
my with Nora after she was born was like some of the hardest moments of my life, including losing Margot. And looking back, I just know that I made it so much harder than it needed to be. And so Nora was she was not a great sleeper, and I had just so much anxiety. And it wasn't really like logical, of course, because obviously like losing one baby doesn't mean you're going to lose another, but I was just so terrified of every little thing. But on top of that, I just felt so much pressure, and I didn't even realize I was feeling it. It was totally subconscious, but I felt so much pressure to enjoy every second and just be so grateful that I had a baby that was healthy, because I was so grateful. And it was what I had been dreaming of, and it was what I had mourned the loss of. And I was just like, okay, I'm finally living what I wanted, and I have what I didn't get with Margot, and I have this a new chance. And I cried for the last year and a half because I didn't have this, and so now here I am and I have it, and so it has to be wonderful, and I have to just be grateful, and I can't complain. And my baby was hard. Nora was so hard, and she was just a terrible sleeper, and she was fussy, and she was just very picky from the very beginning. And I didn't want to ask for help, and I just it didn't even really cross my mind to be like, I need a break from my baby, because I was like, my baby's alive, so my baby's going to be right here. And but I needed a break, man. I needed help, and I needed to speak up and say, I am on like 100% anxiety 100% of the time, and it's not sustainable. And I'm going to have a mental breakdown. And I just had such terrible, terrible postpartum depression, and was just getting no sleep and just trying so hard to enjoy it and never have any negative feelings. Nothing, no feelings of like, oh, this is hard. No acknowledgement of like, you know what? Losing a baby's hard. Having a live baby is hard. Like, I just had to be, my baby's alive, so my life is perfect.
Yeah.
And that's not how it is. It's hard. It's hard to have a baby. It's hard to have a baby that has needs, and it's hard to heal from giving birth. And so I just wish that I had been more vocal about what I was feeling. I wish that I had gotten help for myself. And I wish that I had realized, like, it's okay to say, you know what, I'm having a really hard time dealing with having a baby.
Yeah.
Because in a way, she was kind of my first, because Margot was only alive for a week. And so there were pretty much all of my firsts were with Nora. And I just felt like I was expected to be an expert because I wasn't actually a first-time mom. So I just hope that other women will realize that, of course, child loss is really, really hard. But having a baby is also really hard. And it's okay to say, I'm grateful for my baby. I'm grateful for my baby's health. I'm happy to be here where I am.
Yeah. But
also I need sleep, and I need a break, and I need to get away from my baby for a second, and I need help. And okay, everything has to be perfect now. I can't complain because my baby is okay.
So many women who have struggled with infertility and then finally are able to get pregnant, and then have like I'll even see them post on their Instagram stories like, I've thrown up 12 times today, but I'm just so grateful to be pregnant. And I always want to message them and be like, listen, it's okay. It doesn't mean you're not grateful to be
right.
But then I'm like, I'm not their therapist. So I don't need to jump in. I think that's totally natural to be like, but this is what I wanted. But like that, it doesn't make it not hard.
Yeah. Well, when I took Nora in for her, I think it was her 4-month appointment, her pediatrician was literally like, she seems fine. You're not fine. I'm going to spend 0.5 seconds looking at Nora. Yep, she's fine. And she was like,
she's thriving.
Something's wrong here.
Well, good for her.
She was amazing. I really
That's
love
awesome.
her. She was like, you need to get help. You need to put your baby in bed and walk away. You need to like just eat food and get sleep. Like she saw that I was not meeting any of my own needs because I was so obsessed with meeting Nora's needs and making it look like I was happy every second.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's some golden advice though. I think you hit it right on the head. It's perfect.
I agree. Love it. All right.
Note, yeah.
Yes. So we're going to wrap it up just a little bit, but we want to hear where we can find you. Where can people find you?
Oh, we are on Instagram at And
Marigold _
don't forget the underscore. We're Marigold _ at marigoldmoms.org.
Yep. What do you want me to say?
And that we just we love sharing our stories. We love to hear from other lost moms, and we're so grateful that we connected with you guys because we love what you share. And it's really good to talk to you. I want to end this immediately, start a new interview where we ask you guys questions. I feel weird that it was so one-sided, but this has been really great. Thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah, please. We would love to be on your podcast as well. So we can definitely finish this conversation on another night. But
I'm not going to lie. I was totally fangirling that we got to interview with you.
I know. I was like,
Because we've been following you for so long. It's like, yay, they're celebrities.
Oh my gosh. We're
No,
literally
no.
just we're in our basement.
Yeah.
I love it.
It was very validating for us to be like, someone wants to talk to us.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah. We hope that anything we said was good. We just, sorry.
It was great. We're so grateful that we were able to have you on here.
Not sorry. Good.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you again very much. And we hope to be hearing from you soon.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Good night.
All right.